Investing is an exercise based upon constant failure and disappointment, drenched with mental distractions, obsessions, worries, manias, and even superstitions. It's an exercise that should have profitable results, but for far too many people, it doesn't work out like that. In fact, investing great Ray Dalio once correctly observed that choose your habits well. Habit is probably the most powerful tool in your brain's toolbox. Well, let me tell you, Ray's 100% correct. And that's the purpose of this video series titled Habits of the Investing Greats. I'm going to give you one habit in each episode. I'm going to link that one habit to an investing great, and then I'm going to tell you what to do about it. Welcome everybody to ETFguide TV. I'm Ron and ETFguide. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We've got lots of great programming besides this one. We've got ETF Battles. Season 2 is coming up. And then we also have the weekly portfolio report card where I get a chance to analyze and grade your investment portfolio. Do you pass or fail? We'll find out. Get started at portfolioreportcard.com. So we're going to talk about today's habit. And today's habit, and as we go through these habits, I should mention that I want to encourage each one of you watching to practice the habits I'm giving you on a weekly basis. Make it part of your routine. Put it into action, because what good is it just watching it and being entertained by it? It's not going to serve you any purpose if you're not actually using it. So today's habit is that of being thrifty. Now, one of the great misunderstandings I think about the investing greats is that they are wealthy and they start out that way and that they come from privileged backgrounds. Well, that's not necessarily the case, and the investing great you're going to hear about on today's program is an example of someone that came from very humble beginnings. We're going to share with you who that is. Anne Scheiber, a very obscure figure from New York, and her story is absolutely amazing. She looks like this little innocent woman that could do no harm. Let me tell you, this woman was a beast of an investor. I mean, she was just incredible. And so she began investing in the early 40s. She started out with just $5,000. She had amassed a $22 million fortune over a 50-year period. Didn't happen overnight. But what makes her feat especially remarkable is that she worked at the IRS and earned a very humble $3,100 a year. So she didn't make a lot of money, and yet she still managed to amass this incredible sum. And it just shows you that disciplined saving along with investing, that was her secret recipe. But while many people were investing in bank accounts, because remember, her generation saw and witnessed that 1929 stock market crash and the subsequent Great Depression that followed. And so most people were very leery even of banks, because the banks had collapsed. People lost money. People were in those days more likely to stuff money underneath their mattress. But Scheiber, she was investing in the stock market, which was for her generation pretty outlandish. But she managed to grow her investment portfolio, like I said, to $22 million. She was investing in companies like Bristol-Myers Squibb, Coca-Cola, Chrysler, and Paramount. She grew her portfolio from just a few companies to over 140 different stocks. Although these are all large companies today, they were small companies in Anne Scheiber's day. And so we learn a lesson there. Besides being thrifty, we learned that she was investing in companies that were growth types of companies. She wasn't investing in the established giants. And so that's a really, I think, on-point lesson for growth investors and growing your capital. And although Scheiber was a multimillionaire on paper, even generating over $200,000 a year in dividend income at one point in her life, she still lived in a very humble, nondescript apartment in New York. She lived well below her means. She was really the epitome of frugality. And in 1995, she donated her $22 million fortune to Yeshiva University. And despite her hyper-extreme thrift, Scheiber is a model example of how to prioritize investment savings. She flatly outsaved and flatly outinvested everyone around her. Up until her death, Anne Scheiber remained in obscurity. Even today, she's not really a household name in financial circles. She made it into my book, Habits of the Investing Greats, so I didn't forget about her. And none of this, the fact that she's still relatively obscure, even to up until now, does not diminish her greatness. Anne Scheiber's diligence and thrift offer a lasting impression for all of us to learn from. So reaching your financial goals cannot happen without thrift and without self-restraint. Being thrifty does not mean you deprive yourself from enjoying life. It does, however, require sacrifice and at times even delayed gratification. Moreover, being thrifty keeps your life simple and unfettered by burdensome material possessions. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't own good things. It's okay to own good things. It's not okay to become indebted or enslaved to those material objects. They're not going to really add any lasting happiness to your life. So what are the key takeaways? Curtail unnecessary expenses. That may include fund fees that are elevated, sales loads, taxes, and other hidden investment costs that may be distracting from your investment returns. Be frugal without being cheap. Obtain the maximum value for what you spend. That's not limited to just the stock market or investing. That applies across the board to anything. Understand that the absolute cheapest solutions aren't necessarily always the absolute best solutions. Recognize that runaway investment costs and taxes hinder your performance. Know that minimizing taxes temporarily through tax-deferred accounts like 401k or traditional IRA, that's okay, but minimizing taxes permanently through tax-free accounts like Roth IRA and Roth 401k is much, much better. Also realize that the cost of shifting money into these tax-free accounts like Roth IRA and Roth 401k does have a cost, and some of us that have accumulated our most of our net worth in the wrong places, too much money in the taxable or in the tax-deferred account, we may have to do some shifting. Well, the cost of shifting into the tax-free zone is we pay taxes now, which is a lot better than paying taxes at future rates, which are guaranteed to be higher than what they are today. So we take advantage of low tax rates today. We exploit that to our advantage and get as much money as we can into the tax-free zone. So practice the art of thrift, and your wallet will thank you. Learn from the investing greats like Anne Scheiber. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to ETFguide TV, like this video, and check out my grading service at portfolioreportcard.com. I'd be delighted to analyze and grade your portfolio in all those key areas like cost, risk, taxes, diversification, performance, behavior, and we'll see how you're doing. A, B, C, D, or F, do you pass or fail? Find out at portfolioreportcard.com. That's where everything starts. You can also get my book, Habits of the Investing Greats. It's available at amazon.com. It's 5-star reader rated, and I think you'll enjoy it. Thanks for watching ETF Guide TV. I'm Ron DeLegge, and we'll catch you next time.